I think it's about time now. So hello and welcome everyone to our Global Convergence Webinar Series, where we bring together thought leaders and experts from different fields across the globe to explore convergence of tech and business. My name is Tisha, and I'm delighted to be your host for the Convergence series. Today's session is highly relevant. It's called Unlock 10x Faster Modernization for Legacy System using Gen AI. Today, we'll uncover the potential of generative AI tools to speed up modernization and take a deep dive into how AWS tools can support this journey. Before we begin, have a few housekeeping notes. This session will run for about 60 minutes, and we'll have a Q&A segment at the end of the webinar. Please feel free to drop any question that you have in the chat box in any time, and we will address as many as possible during the Q&A. And we would also love to hear from our audience on any modernization projects that they want to share about in the Q&A segment. So now it's time for speaker introduction. I'm thrilled to introduce our speakers for today. We have Akash Doshi, Enterprise Solution Architect from AWS UK. Akash has a wealth of experience guiding organizations through their digital transformation journey with a focus on leveraging cloud technologies to drive innovation. And our second speaker here is Mizanur Rahman, Director and CTO for BrainStation 23 PLC. He's also an AWS APN ambassador with 6X certification. With an extensive experience in digital transformation, Mizanur actually led numerous high-impact projects, driving innovation and growth through cloud-based modernization with AI. So in today's episode, both our speakers will address why modernizing legacy system is critical in today's fast-paced environment, and how the latest AI tools and especially AWS solutions can make this transformation faster and more efficient. So I'd like to request Akash, please take the take the spotlight and do enlighten us with your experience. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tisha. Let me know when you can see my screen and we'll get started.
Sure. We can see your screen, Akash.
Fantastic. Okay. So I have about 20 minutes to cover a very ambitious topic across both application modernization and generative AI. So book introduction, Akash, Enterprise Solutions Architect based in London at AWS. I work across Europe and sometimes worldwide in a variety of cloud and AI projects. Prior to AWS, I'd worked on several cloud migrations at financial service establishments, but also taken on research roles in the AI space for autonomous vehicles. So today, in the next 20 minutes, what we'll cover is firstly, then some key challenges that we see across legacy modernizations, across application and infrastructure stacks. Secondly, we'll be going into how generative AI can be seen as a disruptor and an enabler for many projects that we previously wouldn't have looked to achieve. Thirdly, then we'll be looking at how to adopt this AI mindset to influence our modernization journeys. And finally, we'll conclude with some real-world implementations from projects that I and my peers have been actively supporting. Let's move forward. So firstly, we are in an exciting age. Generative AI has opened up a huge potential possibility across businesses and their data strategy and how they can start incorporating both machine learning and language-based models into their application stacks. Over the past 2 years, we've seen a plethora of POCs, prototypes of businesses testing what could be possible with the technology. At the same time, we've seen an equal challenge then as part of this hype cycle. A new trend emerges, lots of proof of concepts get introduced, and businesses find themselves burnt, either from not seeing all of the business value out of what they anticipate a new technology to achieve, but also not knowing how to implement the technologies within their stacks. It may be the case that they're earlier in their technology journey and still need to set up the same foundations of DevOps, security, and data practice then before they can leapfrog into the latest tech. So as businesses find themselves thumping into this trough of disillusionment, their proof of concepts potentially not working or not calibrating correctly then to what the technology can achieve, we are having a next stage then of unlocking insights of understanding how we can repurpose technology for more valuable use cases, of understanding from others in the industry of how they've been incorporating successful projects. So it may not be the case that your business will benefit from a Gen AI chatbot, but there may be cases where we can start embedding language models and generative AI within your application stacks. Similarly, it may be the case of not using generative AI as the end product, but instead as a lever or crux to help you achieve business goals. So today we'll be discussing a bit more about modernization. Now, modernization is inherently complex within your IT estate of decommissioning technical debt that has become incumbent in your technology, but also several of the challenges include firstly calibrating the value and the potential impact of making such investment of redefining what technology solutions you're using. Another challenge then is across people, processes, and culture. Technology is easy to implement in comparison to getting an organization ready for the adoption of using new technology, retraining staff to adopt a new modernized stack and operating model. There's also analysis paralysis then of seeing all the potential across all the upgrades from every SaaS vendor, every new version in the open source community, or even just a myriad of options of where to modernize within your stack. And also perceived risks then. When running a modernization project then, we need to validate with the business whether this supports revenue and profits, what's going to be the impact on operations across the business, what is the CapEx and OpEx that is going to be incorporated, but then all this encompasses then one overarching feeling of decision fatigue. So one of the main challenges then is with all these decisions that you have to make of being able to narrow down where to invest your technology, your resources for, when your developers are most likely already over encumbered across your existing roadmaps, this challenge of what to do and how to do it. But we know there's value then that comes from modernization in the long term then, whether it's increased agility and innovation, but also what we see of a stronger and decreased total cost of ownership that comes in parallel, eventually at the end of this journey. But we can appreciate the benefits, but there are many types of modernization pathways that a business can take, whether it's simply retiring a solution that may no longer be relevant, rehosting a platform, then by, for example, updating database engines, then by shifting to a new OS. Otherwise, we can look towards much more complex ways that we can derive greater business value and greater technology advancements, whether it's relocating where this application is hosted, replatforming then onto an entirely new OS or resource then, refactoring then into a more cloud native format then to make benefits and value out of the economies of scale that a hyperscale like AWS can provide. There are a plethora of options on the technology space of how to modernize, but equally, there's all the different blockers that come initially then of validating the business case with different lines of business, assessing the inventory, resources, and application that are relevant for modernization, mobilizing internal resources there, and educating teams of how they can conduct this automation process. And then finally, then being able to iterate this as part of a flywheel, then as modernization isn't simply just a single step, it's a continuous mentality that we have to bring across our stacks. Now, generative AI is proving to be a disruptor in a number of different spaces. On a high level, we can present 4 buckets: the ability to create new experiences, to boost employee productivity, to generate insights from large amounts of information, documents, organization then, but also then to embed a level of creativity to ideate new use cases for product ideation or product development. What we're able to do with this technology is parallelize tasks at scale for greater levels of automation. Tasks which could previously be done by an individual person at a low or medium skilled employee, then we can start to offload certain tasks with this technology to be able to parallelize these and process these in a more automated fashion, which can either be asynchronously as a batch, as a background process. So we have a vague understanding across the challenge in modernization and also the technology potential of this. Let me segue into some of the technology that AWS is currently providing that helps customers on a high level build generative AI solutions. We can attribute this into a 3-tier model then. On the base level, there is silicon, there is resources then for advanced data science teams if they want to host, pre-train, build, or modify foundation models then, and they want to have very granular control. We'll focus on 2 layers right now. The middle layer, which is intended for engineers who don't plan to entirely host a solution from scratch, instead want to leverage hyperscalers features such as provisioning models for an API, and also leveraging additional features like guardrails and agents. And also we'll focus briefly on the top tier then of pure applications that are baked in with Generative AI features that can help then with your modernization journey. You may already be familiar with Amazon Bedrock from any sort of AWS marketing collateral in the past 18 months at least, but I'll give you a quick overview again. Amazon Bedrock is our approach then for handling a platform that can allow businesses to be model agnostic, have the full benefits of being able to choose from different foundation models for a single unified API, but also build additional capabilities like retrieval augmented generation, agents, guardrails, and other protections in front of their stack. One thing to note then is the AI space is developing ever so rapidly. Every few weeks, we find a new foundation model on the market, and businesses commonly find themselves in a sort of fear of missing out with a new technology arriving. This is important to appreciate when Anthropic recently released their upgraded Claude 3.5 Sonnet with capabilities of features like computer use, multimodal capabilities, which has now unlocked features of robotic process automation that we otherwise wouldn't have previously considered from language models. But a few capabilities that I'd also like to highlight then, other than just being able to provision many models and through access for an API, is the ability then to place evaluation frameworks in front of these models or retrieval systems to help you evaluate what good looks like as part of this iterative flywheel. One other capability that's worth highlighting before we go into the crux of how to architect a solution is knowledge bases. We appreciate then that there's lots of information across your organization that you want to process at scale and leverage this technology to do so. A knowledge base then is a turnkey solution as part of Amazon Bedrock, which allows you then to upload different data sources that you have, leverage then an index solution from Amazon Bedrock through the different model providers then to index and make this retrieval as part of the search process and be able to take in user queries, be able to augment these to be able to search as part of this knowledge base and provide answers. So this is a highly effective for large-scale question and answering across a plethora of documentation or other resources within your organization. The final capability that's worth highlighting is Amazon Bedrock Agents. Now, agents allows us then to leverage numerous tools or tasks, whether it's a knowledge base, whether it's then an API call, whether it's access to a database or a function through code, or even providing a provisioned code environment to execute a task. As we start to build more advanced solutions that are more than just a chatbot or a Q&A search, agents allows us to build more complex tasks by taking in a series of steps that we advise the agent to conduct, whether it's adopting a persona, or if it's following a multi-step process, and iteratively go through each one of these steps, execute a task or such knowledge base, self-reflect across these, and think about the next step. This allows us to achieve high levels of automation as we can orchestrate agents to execute multi-step, more complex tasks connecting to business company systems and data sources. So we've taken one view then across how we could be using some building blocks to build a solution. Another side to this is of our other stack of Amazon Q. Now, Amazon Q is our take of building a series of applications rather than services that can target the generative AI space for helping enable both business analysts, but also developers and IT professionals. On the Q developer space, we've identified that developers need more than just something of a chatbot that can create code and they can embed it into their workflows. Ultimately, developer operations is unique to every single developer with their own practice and workflows. But what we know that is unified is the following 5 steps. The need to plan a project, of being able to look through the relevant documentation, guidance, resources, examples, and design ethos across your organization. Code generation is one of these parts, but also being able to generate appropriate unit testing, identify security vulnerabilities, identify performance efficiency scans, and also being able to modernize then old stacks is an iterative process that is part of this flywheel. So when we developed Amazon Q Developer, we took each of these aspects then to build a tool that can embed within your IDE, within your AWS console, to try and target each one of these buckets. What this enables you to do is allow then individual contributors within your organization, firstly, to be able to access then one of these routine companions through their console, through their IDE, then to provide inline suggestions, give this guidance then for more conversational coding, but also orchestrate agents to help perform more complex tasks, whether that's planning a project, whether that's being able to support with code transformations then, for example, updating a Java, or soon we'll have a baked feature for doing a .NET upgrade field stack. So there's a plethora of different use cases that can be supported both from a more granular level by building a solution yourself as part of an architecture, or also using tool assistants, which can support with a portion of the journey then using generative AI. One of our community members then had a great example of using a tool called Draw.io to sketch out an architecture of a proposal of a system and use Q developer then to take the XML of this diagram, plan a project upgrade, and then create a script using both Python and SAM to be able to deploy an infrastructure stack. So there are tools that exist that can help you with a portion of the journey. What I'd like to focus on is how we can start using some of these tools to help support our modernization journeys. In this section, then, the real value comes from greater levels of automation, whether it comes from code analysis, documentation, business logic, extraction. So we know that there are agents, but there are different ways that we can orchestrate multi-agent systems then to handle jobs at scale. We can start off with singleton agents that are very good at well-defined tasks, like using Bedrock agents in isolation. We can then orchestrate then hierarchical agents that involves a supervisor agent that can orchestrate a number of downstream agents then as a sort of manager worker model. We could then explore asynchronous agents then who can work behind the scenes then as part of a backlog or a workflow that can process in the background, that can ensure that critical time-consuming processes are handled without slowing down the rest of the system. Then we can have a look at peer-to-peer agents who can collaborate and leverage each other's strengths then, for example, adopting persona-based approaches. One could be taking the approach of an infrastructure engineer, and one could be taking the approach of a business analyst then. So taking different mentalities, agents can orchestrate together to achieve a task. And then finally, an end state, which may not be achievable initially, is having agents that can act entirely without human intervention then. Once an event occurs, the performance agent can act independently, making them ideal for workflows that require real-time responsiveness. So we've got this toolkit. And now we want to challenge you. When adopting one of these mentalities, we don't want you just to use an AI chatbot. It's great. You can use your ChatGPT, your Claude, your Perplexity. I'm a big fan of Perplexity. But you'll find yourself wounded when it's not quite automating 100% of the task. If it's 40% and you, as the individual in the loop, has to then modify this deployable code, you can find yourself with poor context capture. The target code doesn't capture all the functionality you're looking for, and the target code is often poorly written. What we want you to instead explore is a more advanced approach where we can start taking this legacy code, these configurations, context, the documentation across the organization, and leverage both the language models and both your developer in the loop then to be able to create unit tests, initial code, technical specifications that you can validate before you develop things like a migration plan, target straight architecture, final iterables that could be through code. When we can shift the balance from treating AI as the co-pilot to AI treating us as a co-pilot in the journey, we can leverage a lot more capabilities of this technology in a more cloud and AI native way. Here's one example. We can stage this process then of this pipeline that we can truly understand what that legacy system did and generate trustworthy and actual assets. One way to approach this then is by having a strong level of discovery, using things like knowledge bases and also iterative agents to process our code, our existing documentation, business processes, vendor documentation then, and fuel this then with being able to generate a level of rationalization across what these documents really mean, what this code base involves, and use this then with the support then of a developer or an individual with domain expertise, and to define the business logic, dependencies, test cases. What we can do is we can combine the use of agents then to orchestrate the initial development of these scopes. We can use graph databases to map the dependencies of different code bases and architectures. And then we can use the combination of language models, agents, and also domain expertise steered techniques to develop and set architectures of sprints, of plans of that roadmap for migration or modernization, then use a refactoring engine to iterate upon your code platforms and so forth then. So by combining each of these technologies then, you won't necessarily find a turnkey solution off the market, but by leveraging technology providers such as AWS, of model providers on demand when the next latest greatest model comes from, and also delivery partners like BrainStation who are building these capabilities, you can achieve a greater level of delivery and of output then from having a more sophisticated solution. So I've got a couple of minutes left, and I'm going to give you a few examples then across what we're seeing across other customers. So PlanView had an objective for building a portfolio and project management tool using Amazon Bedrock. Their goal was they needed to build a project management tool that could orchestrate the development tasks, orchestrate the numerous agents and API calls then for planning projects of 3 million global users. What they did was they used a multi-agent system that involved an orchestrator, help agent, a data agent, and an action agent then for being able to route requests from end users, or being able to collect repositories, documentation, and relevant information using a mixture of knowledge bases through vector databases, but also of graph databases to map dependencies of projects of how they wanted to perform an execution. And they were able to use this to reduce their response time iteration, parallelize at scale, and also improve the accuracy of the results tremendously. One other use case then that was super impressive was across BMW, of something they achieved in the past weeks. Now they have a team that incorporates 1,300 plus microservices and a DevOps team of over 450. So their goal was they wanted to be able to iterate their cloud ops across their infrastructure's code iterations and identify security gaps and vulnerabilities aligned with AWS well-architected best practices and reporting natively from the AWS console. What they were able to do was orchestrate a number of agents then for performing iterative health checks, of identifying on-demand issues then from their GitHub repositories from issues, from being able to action and scan what potential recommendations or remediations are, using code generation then to create sandboxes and test and validate whether these changes would help, but also being able to provide general chat handling queries or being able to handle when requests coming in on demand. By being able to identify the business challenges that were affecting their organization, understanding when they needed to achieve results, they were able to build not only the business artifacts then from validating how to incorporate changes, but also technical artifacts from being able to not maybe get 100% of the way, but automate many of the stages of issue identification, iteration then, testing, and to some extent remediation. So to conclude, if we want you to take a few essences from the discussion, we want you to think big, start small, and scale fast. Modernization is a challenging journey, and it's important to identify what the true impact is going to be across this organization change, but also align both the business and the IT stakeholders to help align what resources you can to drive this. We want you to be able to upskill and empower your teams as part of this iterative feedback loop, but also then start to adopt new technologies such as generative AI as part of this flywheel to help accelerate these journeys. But when it comes to the adoption of this type of technology, we don't anticipate immediately there's going to be a product off the shelf for every single business then. Some businesses have a buy versus build adoption, and we're seeing more and more opportunities to buy rather than build in the market, but it's not quite there yet. Something as absurd as this. Therefore, it's important to look towards a trusted partner then, like BrainStation, who can help build your internal practice, and they have already built their generative AI practice then for delivering, consulting, and modernization projects built off an existing foundation of understanding how to handle modernization of infrastructure stacks. So I could go on for hours about this topic, but I'm going to conclude here. If you've got questions, feel free to pop them in the chat, drop me a message either on LinkedIn or on via email. And thank you again for listening to the section. I'll hand it on to Mizan. We're telling you a bit more about the great work Brain Station are doing.
Thank you so much, Akash. I think you shared wonderful insights, to be very honest. We now know where to start off from, and we have got an understanding what are the AWS AI tools that can help us speed up for modernization process and how AWS is viewing all the modernization, importance of modernization at this point of time. And also you perfectly mentioned, like, the internal practice is very important whenever we are trying to adopt, adopt or sort of modernize our applications. First need to understand what would be the right steps for the modernization process, and then definitely we can adopt uh, along with the help of the partner or directly from AWS also. We get to have expert guidance from solution architect like yours and DevOps practitioners. So thank you so much for sharing. Now I will go over to Mizan Bhai. From your experience at BrainStation 23, what are some common challenges you have seen across companies that are dealing with legacy systems, and how critical modernization is for staying competitive? And would love to see some use cases that you'll be sharing today. Thank you so much, Ms. Amthai. Over to you.
Thanks. Let me know if you see my screen.
Yes, we can see the screen.
So very first thing I would like to know, who among you leveraging Gen AI in day-to-day life? Just you can have thumbs up kind of thing. Yeah. Great, great. Yeah, thanks a lot, Akash. It was really nice explanation about how leveraging Gen AI is serving different purpose. And thanks, Kisha, for inviting me. So today, I would like to talk about modernize enterprise legacy application with Gen AI. And nowadays, there has been a lot of technology disruption. So this is extremely important that our application are properly modernized, which are aligned with the current growth, current public cloud, different benefits. So yeah, this is Mohammed Mizanur Rahman. I'm working as CTO in BrainStation 23, and I'm AWS ambassador uh, and co-founder and leader AWS User Group Bangladesh. So just wanted to start with a little bit of BrainStation. So we started back in 2006. Now we are around 800 people and more than 18 years, and we are serving more than 25 plus countries. And we are software service and consulting company. And all these years, we have been serving more than 1,500 plus projects. And so we are a global company serving global clients. And we are ISO for quality, security, and also CMMI level 3 maturity company. So few clients just in these years. We have been working Toyota, Nissan, big enterprise along with startups. And in cloud part, we have been providing along with app modernization. We are working in migration, DevOps, and other kind of technology delivery support and consultation. So today I would like to talk about the importance of modernization and also how we can approach it along with some use cases we have gone through. So very first thing, it comes like how AI is helping. So from our experience, we see that it is mostly helping to like automation of repetitive task. So we do so many things which is like kind of doing multiple times as human as the technology growth. We'd like to be more competitive. We want to do a lot of interesting things instead of doing the same things. So there AI can support big time. Then also regarding the error detection and resolution. So previously it was more into human part. We had to go through different codes and try to find out like maybe the variable name is wrong. There has been a small mistake. The semicolon was not there. So many things are, as developer, you have gone through that journey. Now things are like more straightforward. Life is much more beautiful, I would say, and enhance development workflow. Now, when we can think like what we really want to develop, what we really want to address, if we can really write it down properly, in many cases, we see that AI can do the rest. Of course, there might have some assistance needed, but things are like much more simpler and easier. And so challenges, what are the challenges we are talking about? So regarding the legacy code base, the very first thing is what we have seen that there is lack of documentation, lack of commenting. So, so there basically AI can really help to provide the necessary explanation about a function or a file, like what is the purpose of that file, and the data integrity part, like regarding the testing part in migration, during migration, and of course regarding the scalability part, like when you are in a legacy kind of technology stakes, you are not being able to get the benefit of modern technology. So things are like more, lot of bottlenecks there, lot of technology debt are there. So we already know that modernization is inevitable, and we need to make sure that we are doing all the necessary in at earliest possible time, the fastest way. So some key aspect like why this modernization has been really challenged, like lack of documentation manual, limited resource. If I can tell you, uh, I would say few months back, we got a request that, hey, can you work in COBOL? We said, come on, we don't have any resource in COBOL. And they said, okay, but we can invest, in fact, in resources who can learn COBOL and work in our legacy system. We respectfully denied it because eventually the people who would be learning COBOL, his career progression can be impacted big time, and we don't want to do that. So that is not just a like single client. This is a common issue for so many organizations, especially enterprise. And of course the core team, as I mentioned, not having the core team, a team, they have done it for 20 years earlier, or 20 more than 20 years, and now nothing is like they're just using it. No one knows what is happening. No one knows, no one is there who was part of that core team. So that is kind of a major problem for enterprise. So how this readiness can be done with AI-driven development? So always we see, okay, Gen AI everywhere, lots of buzzword, but from our experience, we see that AI or Gen AI needs to be, take as a friend, as an assistant. So like a trusted friend who is ready to help whenever needed so that you can focus on more important things. So that is extremely important, that how we are taking this support, and also the approach, how we are approaching it, the engineering problem and solving mindset. What we have seen interestingly, that the new generation, the way they adopt this new way of doing things, people like in fact me, who are into this space for a long time, there is a lot of baggage. We are kind of I mean, always we are into more how it was used to be solved, rather how innovatively it can be solved. So the mindset needs to be changed, I think, and that is extremely important. If the mindset is not changed, then basically we won't get the best value out of it. So that is extremely important that we, as a team, we keep this work on this mindset. We make sure that we have combination of I mean, of course, senior people can help. Also, some less experienced people who can think out of the box. For instance, I can recall I was asking my kid that, hey, do you know how this light is, or how this switch is working, like on off? She said, like, it's simple, man. So it's just Wi-Fi. So it might sound silly, but you see, like how easily they are thinking like that way. That okay, Wi-Fi is doing it. So that is kind of eye opener was eye opener for me. So some of the projects or POC I'd like to share along with a real case study. So I'd like to start with this one that for one of the client, they have been using desktop application, and we know that desktop application is has lot of bottleneck. You are not being able to serving the clients at best capacity. So the assignment was like if we can really transform this Visual Basic desktop application to .NET latest version. So with the like very first thing is like we had to understand the Visual Basic code. So the question is like, okay, so you have, so does that mean we have Visual Basic developer? Not like that. Rather, we took the support of GenAI to understand the code, and also in transformation, like we provide necessary instruction that basically transform the code a big most of the case. And of course, as a developer, there might need additional assistance to guide him. Then potentially that can transform that Visual Basic desktop application to web. So you see, for instance, the left side is the Visual Basic, the desktop one, and the right side is web one. And it took, I think as I can recall, it took around 18 hours in this transformation. So you see, uh, then I would like to go another case. This is quite interesting. I was talking with one of the client in Viva Tech, which happened in Paris. So he was mentioning he is from Canada. So he's mentioning that he has like more than 30 projects, and it was done in Fox Pro. So now a lot of expectations are coming from different um, uh, customers about different features. But since it was done long time back, they are kind of stuck. So he said, like, can you help? So since we don't have any developer in Fox Pro, so we said, let's see how it goes. So as a POC, what we did, we took a sample project, and we tried to leverage, we tried to understand what this code structure is. Of course, having Fox Pro experience could be really helpful, but it was not the showstopper. So we converted that Fox Pro application to .NET Latest Edition, and this is just a sample. So I mean, if this was not there, this GenAI support was not there, we could not even think about it. Like now, once we did it in this journey, we saw a lot of possibilities, and that is how we can really support our valued clients. And maybe the project was done, I don't know, maybe 200 man days. But now, with the help of this Gen AI, we can transform that application maybe 10x faster, maybe 20 days, 30 days, and that is possible. And the last thing, last case I want to share, we know that for many cases, uh, clients are running two application, mobile application, one for iOS and one for Android. And we all know that development speed is not the same. Sometimes we see Android development is well ahead, iOS is not yet there. Sometimes iOS is well ahead, Android is not there. So there is always a challenge to make sure they are being able to deliver the solution or deploy the solution into the production right on time. And there is also other dependency like backend, maybe backend code needs to be updated. So since the backend code needs to be updated, so you are not being able to partially publish the Android, because then different user base will have different user experience. So in that process, in fact, we have done a healthcare application that was done separately. Now customer has less budget, startups are struggling big time for the funding. So there, basically what we did, we converted that application to a Flutter, so that it can be managed with single code base, and we can deliver really fast with less resource, and the output is also consistent. So that has been a eye opener, and that can really help different clients uh, who are going through the same challenge. And so there are few success story, like clients plan, and with the help of AI, how it basically helped to reduce the time. Like for instance, the initial time for a project which was like outdated, like a web form project, in .NET 4.8. So we have converted to MVC, and the client's plan was like 2 months. We completed in 7 days. So, and that was like kind of inspired the customer so much that now we see a lot of projects he is asking for help. So that has been really an interesting uh, uh, process or journey in completing this project. So a few findings I'd like to share. So I mean that design pattern aid modernization. So if the project is following the design pattern or proper structure, right, if the development was done properly, then this modernization gets like really faster and more accurate. If the existing development was done little bit messy, then it is always a little bit more time consuming. So having a proper well structured application, developed application, is always a vital for present and for future. And also result automatically, if it is done properly, then result also gets like more accurate without less feedback loop. And one thing is, sometimes when you are working on a legacy application, you are not sure like if the new application is working as expected. So having proper test case clarity that, okay, these are the features, it is supposed to work this way, like the input should be this and output should be this, these features should have this journey, that also can help. And validation part, and also that can also help in reducing the setup for verification. So yeah, we try to compare different aspect into traditional approach and AI assistant modernization approach, and we see that case to case the overall outcome can be like significant. So yeah, I mean, more or less that is kind of the experience I wanted to share. This is my LinkedIn, so feel free to, it's QR code. Feel free to connect us. I mean, we say we are AI company. We want to support with the best efficiency. And wherever you think you'd like to consult, we'd be happy to consult, and we would like to grow together, successful together. Yeah, so that's all from my end. Over to you, Tisha.
Thank you so much, Mizan Bhai. It was really interesting use cases that you shared. I think one of the use cases where we found out that the time of the execution was really fast, like 20, whereas 200 man days to 7 days execution. I think that was a huge success in that way. So I would love to now answer, float the questions to both of you, both Akash and Zampai. I think we have one question from the audience. She's asking that how do we assess the quality of an existing application, especially how can we evaluate whether it is a well-organized or if there are signs or disorganization. So any one of you want to answer the question, Akash, if you want. So how do we
I
find
can
out?
start.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the question. I'll answer for both pre and post modernization then. Ultimately, it comes down to what metrics that you want to use success, whether you already have KPIs for this platform, for example, of latency, uptime, then end users, but also then if you want to look at other metrics then for the amount of coupling across your organization, your ability qualitative and others are quantitative. You can, for example, as an organization, use the DORA metrics, which I'll share on the chat then, which are common metrics used across software engineering. But ultimately, it comes down to whether the application is providing business value and is supporting the end users and the organization. So that there is a wide berth there. There are tools on an infrastructure side from AWS, for example, AWS X-Ray, CloudWatch, and CloudTrail that can be used as part of monitoring your application, then identifying potential risks, security faults, but also tracing then requests to identify potential bottlenecks.
Awesome. Anything you want to add, Mizan Bhai?
Yeah, I think Akash mostly explained most of the thing. One thing is like, I mean, also the architecture part can be quite interesting, and having less tightly coupled kind of things, which can be potentially bottleneck down the line. So how scalable the solution is, and also tools like, along with the AWS tools, there are other tools like SonarQube or different tools that can be also helpful. So yeah, I mean, which metrics you want to focus, that is a like kind of primary direction can be there, and regarding that aspect, there can have different thought or different baseline. Yeah.
Awesome. Any more question, please feel free to write in the chat. In the meantime, Akash already shared his GitLab credential, and also application performance monitoring link with AWS. So feel free to go on both of the links. There is another question. The question is there any demo or POC to convert the design draw.io XML kind of items into actionable items, converting as IAC, for example? So over to you, Akash.
I personally don't trust any tool that will create something entirely as IAC, but you don't need Generative AI necessarily for that. So as part of AWS CloudFormation, we have the CloudFormation infrastructure composer. So what this allows you to do then is visually draw your infrastructure's code as different pieces of connections. And this is a no AI way then for being able to both visualize and also create assets. I wouldn't recommend that though. One thing I would recommend is exploring a solution like AWS Q Developer and trying what that one individual had done of uploading their DrawIO's XML rather than the image, and providing the XML into a language model, for example, Q Developer's agent, process allowed this individual then to create an initial infrastructure code. Let me get a link to that blog, actually. That might be helpful.
Sure. Any other questions? I think we're almost into the session. If we don't have any other question, I just want to I just want to thank both Akash, you and Mizanur for sharing your expert opinions and insights on this transformational journey, how legacy application can be modernized with Gen AI. And now we have also covered the questionnaire session, and would love to I hope that you found these sessions, all the attendees who have joined today has found this session valuable, and we look forward to seeing you in our upcoming series. So we have every 15 days we are coming with new episodes, and after today's episode there will be another episode on November 26 or 25. I will share it with all of you. And until next time, stay innovative and forward-thinking. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Mizanur. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you for coming today.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.